France is currently grappling with one of the most intense winter weather events of the decade. A powerful combination of Arctic air masses and moisture-laden Atlantic systems, dubbed Storm Nils and Storm Pedro by meteorologists, has dumped record-breaking amounts of snow across the northern plains and triggered life-threatening conditions in the Alpine regions. As of this morning, over 25 departments remain under orange and red weather alerts issued by Météo-France, the National Meteorological Service. The City of Light turned into a City of White overnight. While Paris usually sees only light dustings, the current system has deposited between 5 to 10 centimeters in the city center, with suburban areas like Seine-et-Marne reporting up to 15 centimeters. The iconic RATP bus network was forced to suspend nearly all services across the capital to prevent accidents on untreated roads. Major disruptions were also reported on the RER lines, particularly lines B and C, due to frozen switches and fallen trees. The French Civil Aviation Authority, DGAC, requested airlines to cancel 30% of flights at Paris-Charles de Gaulle, CDG, and 20% at Orly. Long queues formed as de-icing crews worked around the clock, but visibility issues caused further delays. Authorities have closed the Eiffel Tower and several public parks to the public due to the risk of falling ice and heavy snow weighing down ancient tree branches. While the snow is a boon for ski resorts in the short term, the rapid accumulation has created a deadly cocktail of unstable snow layers. The week of February 16th to 22nd has been marked by tragedy. Local prefectures in the Savoie and Isère regions confirm that 6 people have lost their lives in off-piste avalanches over the last 72 hours. The most significant slide occurred near Val d'Isère, where a group of seasoned skiers was caught in a massive slab avalanche. Avalanche danger is currently rated at level 4, high, and level 5, very high, in several sectors. Rescue helicopters from the Peloton de Gendarmerie de Haute Montagne, PGHM, are on high alert, but heavy winds have hampered some aerial operations. Famous mountain passes, including the Col du Galibier, are strictly closed. Access roads to high-altitude resorts like Tignes and Les Arcs are being managed with mandatory snow chains and frequent temporary closures for preventative blasting. The weight of the heavy, wet snow, often referred to as neige collante, has wreaked havoc on the nation's electrical grid. Enedis, the national electricity distributor, reported that nearly 150,000 households were without power this morning, primarily in the Normandy and Grand Est regions. The snowfall followed a period of heavy rain from Storm Nils, which had already saturated the ground. This led to a higher frequency of uprooted trees falling onto power lines and blocking regional rail tracks, SNCF. The timing of the storm coincides with the Zone C school holidays in France, a peak period for domestic tourism. While hotels in the Alps are fully booked, the logistics of getting tourists in and out of the mountains has become a nightmare. Thousands of travelers were stranded in shelter centers, gymnasiums and town halls, set up by local authorities in towns like Albertville and Chambéry. In the south, where temperatures usually begin to climb in late February, the sudden cold snap and frost pose a significant threat to early blooming fruit trees and vineyards. Farmers are deploying smudge pots and wind machines to protect their crops. Meteorologists are analyzing whether this extreme event is linked to a sudden stratospheric warming, SSW event, that weakened the polar vortex, allowing frigid air to spill unusually far south into Western Europe. Météo-France predicts that temperatures will remain well below freezing through Tuesday. A brief thaw is expected by Wednesday, which brings a new set of risks: flooding. As the heavy snowpack melts rapidly combined with predicted rainfall, river levels on the Seine and Rhône are being monitored closely. The Ministry of the Interior has urged citizens to limit all non-essential travel and to check the Vigicruise website for flood warnings if they live near major waterways. Meanwhile, the Savoie department in the French Alps is currently facing its most significant winter weather crisis in decades. A potent return from the east, retour d'est, weather pattern combined with the remnants of Storm Pedro, has buried the Tarentaise and Maurienne valleys under a monumental blanket of snow, leading to widespread chaos, isolation of major ski resorts, and a critical spike in avalanche fatalities. As of Sunday morning, Météo-France has maintained a red alert for avalanches and an orange alert for heavy snow and ice across the entire Savoie region. The sheer volume of precipitation has defied recent historical averages. In the last 48 hours, high-altitude sectors above 2,000 meters have recorded staggering accumulations. 120 centimeters of fresh powder since Friday. 95 centimeters, with drifts reaching up to 3 meters due to 100 kilometers per hour winds. An unusual 15 centimeters, causing immediate gridlock on the A43 motorway. Meteorologists explain that the phenomenon is driven by a blocked low-pressure system over the Gulf of Genoa, which is pumping massive amounts of Mediterranean moisture into the freezing Arctic air sitting over the Alps. The most harrowing aspect of this storm is the extreme instability of the snowpack. The Peloton de Gendarmerie de Haute Montagne, PGHM, has described the current conditions as a minefield. Local authorities confirmed 3 fatalities in the Vanoise Massif yesterday afternoon. A group of experienced off-piste skiers was swept away by a spontaneous slab avalanche near the Grand Casse. Despite the rapid intervention of rescue dogs and helicopters, the victims succumbed to asphyxiation. Numerous monstrous natural avalanches have reached valley floors, covering departmental roads, RD, and threatening residential hamlets. For the first time in years, the avalanche risk level has been set at 5 out of 5, maximum, for the Haute Tarentaise and Beaufortain sectors. Coinciding with the peak of the February school holidays, Zone A and B, the snowfall turned the transfer day into a logistical nightmare for thousands of tourists. The access road to Val Thorens, the highest resort in Europe, was closed for 10 hours for preventative blasting. Long queues formed from Moutier, with the Savoie Prefecture reporting over 5,000 vehicles stranded at the height of the storm. Fallen trees and heavy snow on the tracks forced the suspension of several TGV and Thalys Eurostar services arriving at the Bourg Saint-Maurice station. Local municipalities activated Plan Blanc, opening gymnasiums in Albertville and Aime-la-Plagne to house travelers unable to reach their accommodations. Volunteers from the Red Cross provided blankets and hot meals to over 1,200 stranded tourists. The heavy, wet nature of the snow at lower altitudes, below 1,000 meters, has caused severe damage to the electrical infrastructure managed by Enedis. Approximately 22,000 households in the Maurienne Valley remain without power. Repair crews are struggling to access broken lines as many secondary roads are still impassable. Several mobile towers have been knocked offline, complicating rescue efforts and leaving some remote villages in digital isolation. While too much snow sounds like a paradox for the ski industry, the current situation has effectively halted tourism revenue. Most major resorts, including Courchevel and Maribel, have closed 80% of their ski areas. The risk of wind-damaged cable cars and the inability to secure the slopes against avalanches have made skiing impossible. Many resort employees are unable to commute to work, leading to the closure of mountain restaurants and equipment rental shops. Météo-France predicts a slight thinning of the clouds by Monday afternoon. However, this brings a new danger: extreme frost. Temperatures in Savoie are expected to plummet to minus 18 degrees Celsius in the resorts and minus 6 degrees Celsius in Chambéry. This will turn the slush on the roads into black ice, creating treacherous driving conditions. Looking further ahead, the massive snowpack, combined with a predicted rise in temperatures next weekend, has raised concerns about rapid snowmelt and potential flooding in the Isère River basin. Meanwhile, the high-altitude resorts of the Alps are accustomed to meters of powder. The valley city of Chambéry is currently witnessing a rare and paralyzing weather event. A powerful Lombardy effect, combined with a stationary cold front, has dumped nearly 40 centimeters of snow on the city center within 24 hours, the highest accumulation recorded in the basin since the winter of 1970. The Savoie Prefecture has issued an emergency decree, limiting movement across the Cluse de Chambéry as the city's infrastructure buckles under the weight of an unyielding winter storm. The urban highway crossing Chambéry, N201, was officially closed at 4 a.m. today after several heavy goods vehicles, HGVs, jackknifed near the Vrilly Tunnel. Over 800 motorists were stranded overnight, with the French Red Cross, Croix Rouge, deploying snowmobiles to distribute emergency rations. All charter flights bringing skiers from London, Rotterdam, and Moscow have been diverted to Lyon Saint-Exupéry or Geneva. The runway at Chambéry Airport, CMF, remains invisible under a thick white mantle, with snow-clearing equipment struggling to keep up with the 5 centimeters per hour fall rate. The Chambéry-Chalet-les-Hauts station, a major hub for TGV Alp routes, has seen 90% of its traffic cancelled. Frozen points and a major power failure near Aix-les-Bains have cut off the rail link to Annecy and Geneva. The weight of the snow has turned the city's scenic Allée des Marronniers and the historic center near the Elephant Fountain into hazard zones. Several flat-roofed commercial warehouses in the Vaugelin industrial zone are reported to be at risk of collapse. Firefighters, Sapeurs-Pompiers de la Savoie, have conducted over 200 interventions since midnight, mostly for fallen trees blocking residential streets. Enedis reports that approximately 12,000 households in the Chambéry suburbs, including La Motte-Servolex and Saint-Alban-les, are without electricity. Repair crews are finding it nearly impossible to reach transformers located on steep hillsides. Despite the chaos, some residents have embraced the surreal landscape. With the streets of the Old Town, Vieux Chambéry, inaccessible to cars, some locals have been spotted navigating the Rue de Boigne on cross-country skis. However, the mayor of Chambéry has urged caution. This is not a picturesque postcard. The risk of falling roof avalanches and heavy branches is extreme. We ask all residents to stay indoors and check on elderly neighbors. Temperatures in Chambéry are forecast to drop to minus 12 degrees Celsius, 10 degrees Fahrenheit, on Monday night. This will turn the deep slush into solid ice, creating a skating rink effect across the city. Experts at Vigicruise are already warning of the après-neige. If a warm foehn wind arrives next week as predicted, the rapid melting of the 40-centimeter snowpack could cause the Lacey River to burst its banks.